you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
May I proceed, Judge?
Yes.
Could you state your name for the record, sir?
George Harris.
And just like that.
You can put it, you can just take it off the ledge too. It's easy.
And what do you do currently for a living, sir?
I'm a school safety liaison.
Okay. And going back to January of 2024, where were you employed at that time?
Detroit Public Schools Police.
And what did you do for the Detroit Public Schools Police Department at that time?
I was a lieutenant.
And assigned to an investigative division or something else?
I was in charge of the Western Patrol Division and our intelligence unit.
Okay. And did that include, at least on the intelligence unit side, some investigatory roles?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And were you involved in the disappearance and homicide investigation into Neziah Harris?
Yes, I was.
And how did you become involved in that, sir?
The initial report came in that she was missing. A detective was assigned to it. She liaisoned back to me that Neziah had a social media account and had communicated through text now. So anytime there was a cyber-related nexus or anything having to do with cell phones or digital communications, I was the person who had handled it with the district for years.
And what is the reason you would handle the sort of cyber or internet portions of investigations?
I have the training and experience.
And as part of the investigation, did you do an initial search warrant to TextNow?
Yes.
Okay, and did you get an initial return for that?
Yes.
Okay, and were those from the dates of January 8th, 2024 to January 26th, 2024, if you remember?
That sounds
Sounds
correct.
about right?
Yes,
Okay. It didn't go back before January 8th at that time, correct?
that's correct.
Okay. I will come back to that in a second, but the initial agency investigating Neziah's case, was that Detroit Public Schools Police Department?
That's correct.
Okay, and when did that investigation begin?
January 9th, her grandmother reported her missing. One of our officers, Officer Wolf, I believe it was, went out to the school, took the report. Canvas was done. Detective Gardner was assigned to the case. And then from there, she liaisoned with me, and I started making my notifications and started working on it from the...
You said January 9th the report was made?
The 10th, I'm sorry.
The 10th? Okay. So that's when the investigation began, and that's when you became notified of this case, correct?
Correct.
And did the investigation stay with the Detroit Public Schools Police Department for the entirety of until today?
No.
When was it transferred, and to who was it transferred?
It was transferred to Sergeant Shannon Jones sometime I don't remember the exact date, but it was later in January, maybe early February.
Okay. So
When we're getting closer to that 30-day mark.
around a month?
Yes.
Okay, and what was the reason it was transferred to DPD?
There have been no sightings, nothing had been heard from her. At that point, the other agencies that I brought in, we ended up shipping it over once. We received some more calls from DPD. The commander of the 5th Precinct had called me, and we just got together with Detroit, my chief and I, and the deputy chief, and then they decided they were going to take it over because it appeared that she was not going to be recovered alive.
Okay. And in the course, to your knowledge of the initial investigation by the Detroit Public Schools Department, was there any activity from Neziah on social media after January 9th?
Not from Neziah, no.
Now, you said earlier that after it was transferred to the Detroit Police Department, did you receive a call regarding, from Sergeant Jones, regarding a request to confirm an ID that was found, a school ID?
Yes.
Okay, and did you receive a copy of that picture of the ID to confirm it?
Yes.
Okay. And the picture that was sent to you, did you confirm that as Neziah Harris' grade 8 identification card? If you don't remember.
I'm not sure
Okay.
what grade she was in, but yeah, it was her identification card.
All right. May I approach, Judge?
Yes.
Approaching with what's already been admitted as Exhibit 40. Does that look similar to what you were asked to confirm?
Yes.
And that one you went into, did you go into the school system to confirm that that was Neziah's ID?
Through an intermediary, but yes.
Okay. And in the bottom corner of one of that, it says grade 8, correct?
Yes, it does.
And you had said earlier that you did an initial search warrant to text now to receive some messages, correct?
It started out as exigent circumstance request, but yes.
Okay. And may I approach again?
Yes.
Just the last page of the one second. I'm approaching with what's already been admitted as Exhibit 16. And if you could take a look at that, I'm handing you the last page of Exhibit 16. Does that look familiar to you, sir?
Yes.
And are those some of the messages that you got from the search warrant that you did to text now?
Yes.
And are there on that page that you're holding 3 highlighted ones on the bottom of that message or of that page?
Yes.
And the first highlighted one, is there a number associated with whether that it was sent or received from or to?
Yes.
And can you read that number for the court, please?
313-585-8719.
And was the first message that's highlighted there, was that a sent or received message?
It was a sent message.
Indicating that it came from the owner of the Text Now account, correct?
Correct.
And what does that message say?
Don't forget to be there before 3. I will let you know when I'm leaving school. If you're not there, I will wait.
And to be clear, the owner of the account that you did a search warrant on, you believe to be Neziah Harris, correct?
That is correct.
And then the second message down from that, second to last message on that page, is that a sent or received message?
It's a sent message.
And who is it sent to, the number?
313-585-8719.
And what does that message say?
Send okay if you send the message so I can delete your number.
And then the last message on that page first, is that a sent or received message to that account?
Received.
So the owner of the account would have received that message from someone else?
Yes.
And what's the number that sent the message to that Text Now account?
313-585-8719.
And what is that message?
Okay.
And what are the dates of those messages?
January 9th, 2024.
And when the owner of that account received that last message of okay, what date and time did she receive that on?
January 9th, 2024 at 14:23:10 UTC.
And the UTC would be 4 hours ahead at that time from the local time?
Correct.
Okay. And so that would have been at 10 a.m. or so?
That would have been 9:23.
a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Okay, boss?
Is it Sergeant Harris? I'm sorry.
It was Lieutenant
It
Harris.
was Lieutenant. I'm sorry. I want to get that right. So, did you learn about this case through Detective Gardner? You learned about it from somewhere from the school, or how did it land on your desk? Can you?
So the grandmother went to the school. The school called Officer Wolf, who works that area, and then whenever we have a missing student, we always dispatch a detective.
Okay, so it was Officer Wolf who was initially dispatched to the school.
Correct.
To do kind of an initial intake or interview,
Yes.
so to speak. Okay. And you're familiar that he did that?
Yes, he generated a report and did that, and then Detective Adele Gardner took over from there.
So when Officer Harris,
Wolf.
Wolf came back with his report, he passed, essentially, the report indicated what he did on the case and then handed it off to Detective Gardner.
No, Detective Gardner responded to the scene before he even came back and did the report.
Okay, so Detective Gardner is also involved in some of the things that Officer Wolf did.
Yes,
In
the
terms of
canvassing and
canvassing.
talking to people, yes.
Okay, that's what I was going to get to next. So you're familiar that at least Detective Gardner and Officer Wolf went out to the 3 Mile Drive location at Cornwall where the bus stop was and canvassed that area.
Not just them, but other officers, yes.
Others too? Okay. Did any of the officers in DPS interview the teacher that was in Nazai's class that day?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, do you know who it was?
It would have been Detective Gardner.
And do you know if Detective Gardner has authored a report?
She would have case notes and interview statements of everybody she interviewed.
Okay. Did you follow up on anything that, yourself follow up on anything that Officer Wolf did or that he left open in his report to do?
Not personally, I was just directing the efforts of Detective Gardner as whatever guidance she needed or help.
Okay. And one of the things that she requested of you was to do the search warrant for the text now?
The text now, Instagram.
Okay. And did you receive anything back from Instagram?
Yes, I received back to her Nazai's Instagram account
Okay.
information.
Okay. Now, ultimately, you came into possession of Nazai's laptop. Is that correct?
You talking about the one she uses at school?
Correct.
Yes.
And how did you become? How did you take possession of that?
I sent Detective Gardner over to the school to pick it up.
It was at the school.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know where at the school?
With all the rest of the laptops the kids use.
Okay, so they leave the laptops there every day at the end of the day.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if anybody from your unit or searched anywhere in the classroom, like lockers or areas where like coats and other things, bags, backpacks, lunch boxes, that kind of thing are stored?
That would have been standard to have to search where her locker was, her classroom, any of that stuff.
It would have been.
We would search the whole school to make sure that we found kids hiding in the school before they were going missing. So we would search the entire school, surrounding area, that route to and from school, things of that nature.
Can you say for sure that that was done here, or just that should have been done because
That
was,
should have been done.
Okay, but you can't say for sure that you didn't do it.
I didn't go to the scene.
Okay, and you haven't read a report that indicated somebody else did it. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Okay. Now you also were shown a picture of Nazai's 8th grade ID card from the school.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know when that ID card was issued to Nazia?
It should have been the beginning of the school year.
Okay. So then it would have been end of August?
Yes. Or, yeah, because we started before Labor Day again last year.
Okay. Other than the warrant and giving the laptop over to DPD, did you do anything else yourself in this case?
Yes.
What else?
Went back out to the school, interviewed some students, got some more information from some of Nazai's friends, different from what they had given earlier. Spoke with her little sister, spoke with the grandmother, got the release for her dental records, picked up the toothbrush, went out on a couple more canvases, things of that nature.
Okay. Now you mentioned that you passed this case off, or your department passed this case off to DPD at about the 30-day mark.
Somewhere around there. It may have been a little after, because right around the 30-day mark is when I would have went and got the toothbrush, so we still had it then. Because you have to make that update in the system when you guys get close to the 30-day mark.
So the case was opened on January 10th, correct?
Correct.
And was it the 13th of February that you gave the laptop to the Detroit police? Do you recall?
That sounds about right, around Valentine's Day.
Okay. And would that have been about the last thing that you did at that point?
Yes.
Okay. And that's right around a 30-day window, fair
Yeah,
to say?
a little bit past at that point.
Okay. Now, is that that 30-day window, is that kind of a standard protocol, or is there something that kind of where your jurisdiction kind of expires and you pass it on to a different agency?
I would say no, because I had been with the school police since 2011, and this was the first missing we hadn't recovered within a couple of days. So normally we would, continue on with our cases, but once it got to that point, once we suspect, it could be a possible homicide, then the jurisdiction goes back to Detroit. So that's kind of how we went.
Would it be fair to say that once you had kind of exhausted your tools,
I guess, yeah, that's one way to look at it.
okay, could you hand it off to a different agency before 30 days? Could you decide within 2 weeks we aren't coming up with any leads, we should give this to a different agency for more assistance?
We could, yes.
Okay. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Can you
Very briefly, Judge. Ms. Quick asked you about recovering a laptop. That was done in this case. Nazia's laptop was recovered, correct?
Yes.
And did you or did someone else or DPS recover a tablet that belonged to Nazia as well?
Yes.
Okay, where was that recovered from? The school or somewhere else?
From the grandmother.
From the grandmother?
Yes.
And that would be Annette Harris?
Yes.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, you are done. Thank you.
Thank you.